Good morning and welcome to this women's division game here at London Invite. We've got Dublin Gravity against London's LMU, London Masters Ultimate. Coming to you straight off of the back of a really exciting open game. I'm afraid we're coming to you a point in, but you've missed a hold from Gravity with a great layout grab. I'm here in the booth, Rachel Douglas, alongside CJ Colecchio, and we're going to be talking you through this women's division game. You've already been on the mic today. How's the day started here at London Invite?
You know, honestly, I'm just so happy. I've said it all weekend. The weather in this country has been so good this spring, and today is just yet another beautiful, sunny day. And we get to be here watching some really good Ultimate teams. I know that this hasn't been the tournament that Gravity wanted to have. I know they had some success last year at London Invite. I know this one's been a little bit harder for them, but I'm really excited for today's game.
Yeah, Gravity getting a quick turn with their zone, but giving it right back. Alperin picks up for LMU. Finds Weddle in the middle, pops a high over to Gainey. Gravity back in this zone, putting lots of pressure on the handler set, really trying to isolate them away from their cutters. Back to Gainey in the middle and through to Bevan. Wide to Mayetta. Puts it down the line, and Gainey's just able to snatch that one out of the air. Finds a dump. LMU looking to create some space now. Oh, and that one just trying to eke it into the middle. Unclear if, I think it looked like there was a Gravity hand on it.
Yeah, I believe there was a hand block right on the goal line there. Really nice play from the Gravity player. Looked like number 45, Katya Kurativa.
Down that far sideline, Linney. Gravity looking for the first break of the game. Finds March. Changing that angle of play now into the middle, but Mayetta's there to tidy that one up. Finds Weddle, puts up a nice sweeping throw to Bevan, who just tries to take it high, but with two pink shirts streaming in, that one's going to escape her. Given back though with a missed throw. Quickly picked up by Evanson and straight to Bevan in the end zone for the score.
Yeah, really good throw there. I think Douglas with the throw. Just really, really nice. Touch on that throw and the fact that you're able to, and here's the first point from Gravity, that layout goal that we're about to see.
Yeah, well, great, snagged it out the air and then had to just follow it through. Great adaptive catch. I think that wasn't quite the plan, but shows they're able to change things up on the fly.
I don't know if I would catch it with the right hand there, but fair enough. Fair play.
Feels a bit wild, but you know, does the job. Yeah, we'll see number 88 with the name Douglas on the shirt. That is actually my kit that has been loaned over to Sophie Evanson, who's on the field for LMU.
So you're not on the field as well as in the booth?
Yeah, I just wanted to get shout-outs across the board, so thought I'd insert my kit into the game, try and create some confusion.
We call that stat farming. You see, you're stat farming.
Listen, I think she's going to do more with it than I ever could, so we'll see how this goes. So a bit of a scrappy second point, but a hold for LMU.
Yeah.
Fisk with the pull.
I assume it's not as windy as it was yesterday, but it is still enough wind to cause a little bit of havoc on the throws, as we see Alyssa Sutherland with the disc. Cutter turned center handler. I spoke to her yesterday about it, and she said she's excited and also terrified about having to do it, but she's up to the task. Former bent player.
Gravity moving it nicely around the back, find that opportunity. That one goes high and just able to force that one to go up earlier. Foul is being called. That looked as though they sort of bit on that. Kulikovska doing well to force Gravity to attack it early. I mean, there was a bit of contact, but from this angle, that looks like the disc is already past them. And actually, in my book, that's that doesn't feel like that should kind of constitute a full foul, but obviously on the field, it can be really difficult. And when you haven't caught the disc and you felt some contact with the player, it can be quite difficult to separate what's what.
Yeah, it looks like they're talking to the sideline to see if somebody else had a better perspective. I do think as a receiver, it's difficult to have your momentum going one way, misread the disc, and as you're trying to fight back to the other side, adjust. And I think I understand the contact knocked her down, but I agree with you. I don't think that they're going to be able to make a play on that disc.
Yeah, I think with the arm signals from what we're seeing on field, there maybe is a bit of discussion about the fact that it looked as though that disc was already over their heads. Pereslavets still feeling like there was contact, but Kulikowska contesting that one, so it will go back.
Yep, so it's going back to number 97, Helen Barron, who I like the shot. It was perfectly weighted again. Looks like it just, perhaps the receiver ran a little bit under the disc before trying to approach it.
Yeah, and I think that was sort of necessary with Ola Kulikowska putting the pressure on, but Gravity with the second opportunity here.
And Galaney with the disc.
Finds Galaney in the center. Gravity handlers happy to move it around the back. They've shown a lot of patience so far this weekend in that handler set. Galaney finds Barron again. Happy to work it between them until something comes free downfield. Galaney keeps things moving. Just happy to give that back and forth and just wait until one of the cutters is able to shake something loose. Tyler Weddle in hot pursuit, but not able to shut off that option into the end zone, and Gravity score that downwind point.
I think one of the benefits that I'm seeing from both teams so far is the side-to-side movement. When it's windy like this, you don't want to keep it on one sideline for too long, and I think Galaney does a good job of working with their other handler, Helen Barron, of just moving it side to side to wait for something open up. You heard some of the LMU sideline trying to give some adjustments to their downfield defenders to take away those cuts, just not quick enough as we see Allison Flynn score the goal.
Yeah, I think it looks fairly well drilled for Gravity. They know how the handlers like to move. I think the cutters are prepped and ready to get their timing just right and aren't afraid to kind of run those reps, not receive the disc, clear back out, and just run it again, making sure that as and when the time is right and the handlers approve of the option, they're there and ready to exploit it, as we saw with Flynn.
Do you see that Frisbee on the ground? It has all those gummies. It's a Frisbee full of gummies for Gravity. Well done.
Yeah. Keeping nicely fueled. It's been a long weekend. It's day 2, but probably feels like something else for these guys. Gravity back in this zone. Thompson pops to Hill.
At
finds Thompson.
Some point today, we're going to see the famous Georgie Hill inside flick. It's unstoppable.
Bevan moving the cup around. Hill finds Alperin. LMU quite comfortable against zones generally. I mean, the zone is designed to frustrate. We'll see if it's going to be effective. Eddie and Mara. Bevan loves to move the cup around, but that time not going to be fooled by it. Comes off the hand of Korativa. Gravity with an opportunity to break, get the first break of the game. Centered. Finding that reset before a bit of a gain at Korativa in the middle. Happy to get those little resets and then looking for the big one. That's going high. We've got multiple LMU shirts underneath it, and unfortunately when Kaylee Maeta is in the area, that's a really tough one to come down with. She's an excellent deep defender and secures the turn for LMU.
Yeah, you never really want to take shots into double coverage. As this shot goes up,
there's a lot of edge on it. I think that wasn't exactly how that throw was intended, but Gainey comes down with it, and LMU, after sort of maybe feeling a little bit delayed and disrupted by that zone, get it moving, slice it through the middle, and a decisive pass down to the end for a hold.
Yeah, the dirty hold, as we like to call it. It's not clean, but a really good adjustment from LMU to get the disc back after the zone did disrupt their flow. But that is a really nice grab from Gainey. That's a tough one. Honestly, like if it flying away from you as the receiver, it sometimes forces you into an uncomfortable, do I bid? Do I not? Just go ahead and grab it.
Yeah, and really heads up from Gainey in terms of the timing of that cut, exploiting that deep space. We know that the gravity defense is really tough when they get set up, so I think a key strategy for LMU today will be to not let them get set. Eddie with that lovely crossfield pass to Maeta, who then just sees Gainey streaking deep and gets the throw out.
Yeah, it's good.
Trusts the receiver.
I was going to say, it's a lot of trust. Sometimes you just see certain receivers that you know are going to come down with things, and you just say, yeah, you know what, they're down there.
Yeah, I think Gainey definitely has that title on LMU. That's a rolling pull. Losing yards on that. Flynn chasing it down. Finds Galaney. LMU in a slightly saggy look in the handler set. Having to just find their resets. Some movement in the middle provided by Barron. And Galaney gets a nice gainer down that far side. Moving around the back. Flynn finds Galaney. Galaney looking downfield. An up the line pass. But has to swing again, trying to change the area of attack. You spoke about how important those lateral passes are. Trying to shake something loose. And these resets are great. Keeping the stall count low. Looking nice and early. A little bit of separation now. Cutters look quite deep. Stall count rising. Big pressure from Burbage on the force. Barron. Oh, it's a high pass, but Galaney's got nothing but space to receive that. And maybe a slightly rushed throw into the end zone, but Keenan is going to do the job, run it down. That looked as though that might have had a little bit too much on it. I'm not sure that Keenan was the original option.
Visionary. Visionary from the thrower there. Galaney knows that she's got not one but two receivers there. And yeah, I think she's definitely throwing it to Flynn. But of course, Keenan there to clean up the garbage. Very, very good. Again, we're seeing things. LMU, I'm not thrilled by the handler marking right now. I think they're a little too off. I think they need to come closer and challenge these throwers. I think that these side-to-side throws need to be contested more. And when the handlers are doing reset cuts, like you said that they were disengaged from the cutters, I think they need to lock in a little bit more. So I'd like to see LMU make those adjustments. Yeah,
I think they started that defensive look with a sort of slightly saggy movement in the handler area. We had the force on tight, but the dump force might stay in the lane for a moment just to kind of harry any downfield movement and force them to look back at that reset. And I think they're kind of standing in a slightly more flat force to try and disrupt any of those inside throws that can be so lethal. But as you say, Gravity really comfortable moving it around the side and happy to kind of wait until they find the right downfield option. So that might be an adjustment that LMU will look to make as this game proceeds. It's a high break around the corner. Tyler Weddle toes it in, but there's a question about whether her toes were in or perhaps on the line.
Oh, it's going to be close. It does look like her back foot is perhaps, I don't know if we can see another view of that. Here we go, take another look.
Oh, oof. From my view, that's in. That looked like she was aware her back foot was down, her front foot was up. from the commentary perspective, we think that that one was in. Her front foot was up, her back foot was down. Her toes were being dragged. I think we'll have another look here. Nice and slow. You see her back toes are down.
I think that's in.
It's very close, but it looks as though her toes are inside the line as she makes the catch. And it's the movement that carries her forward. Her first point of contact is what matters.
Yep.
And I think Weddle did really well to make sure that that back foot was in the line, despite the reaching effort that had to be made.
Do we know if Weddle's done ballet? Because really strong toe work right there.
Oh, yeah.
I was just talking.
A miscalling, perhaps.
I was just talking to Liam Granty about how the open division could use some more ballet in their life, and toe action like that was really good. Well done.
This really tight cup, putting a lot of pressure on LMU. Finding the movements. Thompson, Bevan, Weddle, happy to move it between them. Just trying to make those small passes, gain yards. Oof. They find a gap, and Weddle puts one out to Gainey. It comes out a bit low, but Gainey is really proving to be a safe pair of hands so far in this game. Picks that one up, sweeps it up from deep. We see LMU doing really well with that quick dynamic movement. Cup's coming in tight, but it does mean that you can sometimes shake loose a space, and Gainey scooping that one up from low. For LMU.
Gainey is getting a reputation, maybe has the reputation of just catching everything in this game. It's one of those frustrating things as a receiver sometimes, because when people know that they can just throw anything and you'll catch it, they will just throw anything. They won't try to hit you in the chest.
That negative reinforcement.
That negative reinforcement of I'm going to enable your bad decisions by rewarding you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, as somebody who has gotten, you would expect a lot of throws to me to be higher. No. The amount of times I've had to go to the ground to grab things, and I'm like, I'm rewarding your bad behavior by this.
Yeah.
But Gainey doing the same thing here. Of set, reliable hands, doing all right. 2 goals in the first 3 points for LMU.
That felt more the LMU form against that zone. I think when we saw it in the earlier point and they kind of managed to get the hand on the disc and the turnover, it felt like LMU were maybe just sort of trying to get into that rhythm of those pops and goes, but being slightly tentative. But that really felt like more what we've seen from LMU in the past. Really decisive. Bevan slicing through that, pulling the cup in tight so that when they take a step off, she's really able to cut through. Thompson moving quickly around the back. Great work from LMU. But now, can they get the turn on D? Gravity with the disc, find it on that far sideline. Big gainer under Keenan in lots of space.
Delaney shouting for the disc, but team not obliging.
Yeah, there's other things going on downfield. Happy to find some other options. Delaney gets it back to balance. Oh, and a tight mark from Weddle. Forces a miscommunication in the handler space. Delaney goes upfield, but the throw was expecting her to come back.
Yeah, I can understand why the disc came out there.
Nevitt now finds Kwok. Kwok winds up, puts it up. It's a sweeping throw. Kolikovska takes that one down. Looking for a reset. Oh, that one's low, but no problem for Andres. LMU now knocking on the doorstep of a break. Fisk with the disc. Finds Nichols, big fake. Trying to move this gravity defense. Back to Fisk. And into the corner. Elena Andres with the goal. First break of the game to to LMU.
Yeah, no, really good movement from LMU there. Really great defense to force the turn. Oh, and what a great grab from Andres there. But yeah, LMU taking advantage of their opportunity to get the first break of the game. And it's an upwind one, so you know the possibility of the double break coming right now on the downwind.
Yeah, really great composure. We've seen LMU sort of moving through a few different defensive looks. They started off, I think, I wasn't sure if it was a full zone or sort of that poachy look, but then sort of transitioned, I think, into a tighter match after a few passes from Gravity, and just managing to tighten up enough to force that confusion. We sort of sometimes call those unforced errors, but really, I mean, it is a forced error. It's from the pressure, it's from the confusion that the defense is providing. And LMU doing an excellent mindset shift from a huge defensive effort to then work it all the way up the field with that kind of calm and level, patient mentality.
Yeah, I really like to see, I'd like to see more decisive cutting from the Gravity handlers there. Galaney obviously a threat with the disc, but stutter step cuts are often very confusing for throwers, and if you think that, oh, I need to get it out now because they've stopped and they've created separation, which she seemed to do with Weddle, and then just ran away from it. We always say save the dancing for Saturday night. It is now Sunday morning. Let's just make good cuts.
Yeah, in the zone now, LMU really trying to harry that handler movement, trying to separate the handlers from the cutters, sort of exacerbate some of the style of play that Gravity like to sort of use anyway, see if they can make that separation further and block that connection. Gravity finding the gaps though, Parislavets resets to Baron. Flynn and Baron happy to move it around the back. Galaney getting involved. Parislavets in the middle, Galaney, little grin on her face, wondering if she should try and that little pop through the middle, but perhaps that would be a bit cheeky. Oh, Mara Alperin laying out on D, but Parislavets has that secured. Disc goes up, comfortable. Nice up the line slash from Baron. Maybe a little bit of a chat now. Tried to be jumped in, not quite there. And an easy around pass into the hands of Galaney.
That was easy from Gravity.
Yeah, I definitely think that the zone from LMU looked like it was sort of doing its job, but Gravity just really kind of rising to the challenge. Happy to make those extra passes. You know, zones are trying to force extra throws, force frustration, block off downfield options, and I think that the zone was doing that well, but a team like Gravity, I really think when you're a team that plays a zone a lot, you're often really good at playing against zone. You know, like they train their zone at training and they'll train playing against the zone at training. You don't get a good zone without getting good at zone offense. And so yeah, it can be really tough, but you know, this is a tournament within the season. Both these teams will be winding up for respective, you know, regionals, nationals, potentially European championships. So testing them out against another team that love to throw and play against zones is the most effective way to figure out what works and maybe make adjustments to for improvements.
Yeah, I'd like to see maybe switching from a junky zone from LMU and maybe pressuring more. I think that their person defense is actually a little bit stronger, and I think that what they could do is maybe stop the jump, you know, throw a little junk to start and then transition into that and then see what defenses they could force there.
Mm-hmm. Hill finds Gainey. Gainey looking for a reset, pops through the middle to Thompson. Thompson fires one deep. She's got Bevan and Kaylee Maeta. When you see Maeta in the end zone, it's got to go. It's got to go.
I really like Bevan just ducking. Just ducking. Knows Maeta's behind her. Really good. But yeah, just a really good shot here. Hangs a little bit, you know, don't really like throwing a deep shot to two players, but when one of your players could, I think there's probably communication there. Usually people don't just start ducking when they see a disc in the air. So probably really good communication from the cutters as Thompson rips the backhand.
Yeah, you see sort of Bevan look back, and I think Maeta must have said something because she sort of suddenly indicates she's heard and gets out the way. Very decisive response from LMU. Really nice reset to Thompson in the middle, and Thompson just firing it deep, as she's been known to do once or twice in her her time playing. Jenna Thompson. I've referred to her on the stream before as an institution in UK Ultimate. Yeah, growing up. But when you sort of joined, if you joined Ultimate within the years, I don't know, 2015 to now, or even before that, maybe I'm not giving her sufficient kudos for her time playing. But if you played Ultimate in the UK, you'll know Jenna Thompson. She's just been this unbelievable player, consistently season in, season out for a good long time now. LMU back in this zone look. Gravity find some space through the middle. Back to Galaney. Oh, and that again, that's just rushed past. That is the zone doing its job, forcing an error. Andreas to pick up. Finds Weddle. Up the line pass, it's a little low. Back into that zone. Oh, but immediately intercepted. Passed right into Weddle's hands.
She giveth away, she taketh back. Well done.
Yeah, a lot of grit and determination from Cheska. Tyler Weddle doesn't like turnovers and will work hard to get it back. Nichols now. Fisk creates space with a great cut and puts a sweeping pass into the end zone. Kolakowska tidies that one up. I love the shape on that throw from Fisk. Putting it out and round, ensuring that the defense is not going to have any direct play on that. And that was a really well-timed cut.
Sometimes it's about seeing your teammates throw something not bad. I don't think Weddle's decision was a poor choice in throw, but I think in terms of sometimes release points, we don't often think about release points as much as we should as Ultimate players when it's windy out. When the wind is obviously at your back, you need to release higher with a little bit more edge. Weddle didn't do it there, but as you can see, Fisk does.
Yeah, and I really love that up the line cut from Fisk. She kind of moves up a little bit into the area in front of the disc, and then does this kind of sweeping cut to get the inside line away from her defender, really holding that space well.
But as you can see from that angle there, how much higher that throw was than Weddle's, which was a little bit lower. But it been fair play to Weddle to go ahead and get the disc back. Not sure if Galaney saw her as she was in the lane, but she threw it straight at her.
Yeah. So LMU holding their lead in this game. One break up.
I believe that's their second break, because that's the downwind one.
Excuse me. 2 breaks up. It'd be hard to keep track of these things. Oh, having to go to ground. That was a big pressure on that throw, but Balance secures it for Gravity, finds Galaney. Happy in the reset space. And they always seem to find that option in the middle, that just a rushed continuation to Balance, pops out of the hands. LMU quick to get it moving. Ford. Thompson. Big fake. Finds Hamer. Huge fake down the line. Van Krieken. Van Krieken puts it up. It's high, it's sailing left, but no problem for Alice Poliquin. Oh, excuse me. I thought that was a catch from this angle. It looked like that was secured, but oh, just fumbled.
That's so unfortunate, but yeah, that's a great shot into the end zone. Definitely should have been caught. Let's hope that LMU can go ahead and get this one back.
Oh,
after that one.
Yeah, so tough. You think you've secured it, but if you take your brain off the task for even a moment, it can still get away from you. Baron rips one deep. Keenan's there, but not able to read that quite right. It came in, it picked up a lot of speed, I think, and it came in at a much more aggressive angle than intended, sailing just a little bit past the outreached hands of Keenan.
Yeah, the wind is, the higher you get, the windier it is up there, and it's pushing the disc faster and faster. Unfortunate for the gravity player there.
Van Keeken finds Thompson. Centers to Polycat, puts it out in front. Burbage. Ford takes that one under pressure. Van Keeken finds Hamer. And that one is safely in the breadbasket. Alice Polycat makes sure on her second time at it for another break.
We call that a double score. We're gonna count the first one as like just reps. You know, you make an unfortunate drop like that, get a second chance, comes up with the catch this time. A really cheeky inside from Hamer there. Really like that throw. I know good lefties are always a problem, and that is a problematic throw.
Yeah, she's a real asset, Joanna Hamer. Lefty, which obviously can bring huge benefits, but also really knows how to use it. Beautifully popped through, timing great. And she's got a big arm on her as well, so got to watch out. Got to watch out for it.
I saw a chance. I didn't know, you know, if she likes the flick huck, but there was an opportunity in that point, perhaps that lefty flick huck, because I know the lefties can cut the wind perfectly. I was hoping to see it get juiced out there. But maybe later this game.
Yeah, I think you will see it. I think in that instance, I know when you were speaking about, I don't think the cut was quite set up. And so great awareness, you know, just to holster. You know it's an effective throw, but only when there's someone there to receive it. Lovely play from LMU, really just kind of holding form on the offensive look. I know that, I know because as I said, someone's wearing my kit. I do train with this team. Often at trainings, we'll be doing the double score. You know, you score, but you then have to come out and you just have to do it again. And I do think that's a great practice in mentality for, you know, not achieving the score or in one instance, then having to go and have another crack at it after getting it back. Gravity facing down this zone from LMU again. We've got a force and a cup this time. It's a slightly different look. Oh. And that is a turnover. Kwok getting in the way, messing things up for Gravity. Nichols now needs a reset.
That's the second time this weekend I've seen Jazz hands on the mark get a hand block like that. Well done by Joyce Kwok right there. As LMU, I think there's a pick call, so that's probably going to get sent back.
Yeah.
LMU looking for their fourth break of the half and for half if they get it here.
Disc coming in with Kolakowska. Finds Fisk. You can hear calls of end zone from the sideline. Finds Kwok right on the line and back to Fisk. LMU very happy with that one. That's exactly how I think you want those kind of points to go, right? You calm down in this what's meant to be a really oppressive zone, putting so much pressure on, getting quite a quick proactive block or sometimes forcing a turn. In that instance, Kwok getting her hand to it and securing the turnover, and then just moving it calmly down the field and getting your break to take half. Beautiful. Couldn't ride it better.
No, you can't. I mean, look at that right there. Just kind of throws her hand up. I wouldn't say blindly, but just sometimes you just do it instinctively. Gets the block, and also the assist on the goal. Fisk with a really nice upline cut. Yeah, LMU, I think they were trading up until fours, and then I don't know what shifted, but they just decided to put their foot down.
Yeah, so far I think LMU have been that bit more clinical, and I think they've adapted better to what Dublin Gravity have been bringing.
Speaking to a couple of the Dublin Gravity players this weekend so far, they've been saying about how unforced errors that you were speaking about have kind of hurt them this year, or this weekend. And I think that when it comes to these breaks that we've seen, we are seeing those unforced errors again causing LMU to break them. So if they can limit the amount of unforced errors that they have, I do like Gravity's chances to possibly come back. However, being down 4, now they have to go out and generate blocks or take advantage of any unforced errors that LMU have. It's just that LMU has just not been having as many unforced errors, other than the drop of the end zone, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I think what that requires is a mentality shift, right? Like, all of these players are able to execute flawlessly. You know, we've seen them do it at different times, and we know that that's something they've trained and they've been diligently working on their skills and their ability to deliver on the field, season in, season out. So it does. I think it is a mentality shift. You want to tidy up how you're playing. It's not that anything needs to change necessarily in what you're doing, but it's about, as an individual, getting your brain in gear, and every single option, whether you're receiving the disc or throwing the disc, you're making sure of what you're delivering for your team. And so that's like an individual responsibility for the Gravity players. But I think that it's a mentality shift if they want to get back into this game for Gravity, but it's also something they need to try and beat LMU in the mental game. Right now, LMU are looking really smooth, really well drilled, really calm and collected. To try and claw back a 4-point lead, I think Gravity are going to need to not only kind of switch themselves up a gear, but try and knock LMU down a gear, try and get in their heads and try and kind of disrupt this beautiful flow that we're seeing from that side.
Yeah, if I'm in that Gravity circle right now, what I would be talking about is how can we get LMU off of their rhythm? What can we change? Is it playing more physical defense? Is it being more shaped with our cuts? If anything, it's limiting the unforced errors, but it's also just doing the little things well. I think that's what LMU is doing. I think they're doing the little things well. It's good upline cuts. It's decisive timing. It's not taking these cheeky, out of rhythm throws. It looks like LMU's been, running their system really, really well in this game, and I think that that's the key to their success. If Gravity can get back to running their system and disrupting the system of LMU, they have a chance to come back. 8-4 is not an impossibility to come back from. In fact, fortunately, I've been on the receiving end of many losses in my career from being up 8-4.
Yeah, we all have some trauma sitting deep in our souls where we've had a comfy lead and someone's come and clawed the win away from us.
Yeah, I like to say it as snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
Oh yeah, yeah, something rude and quite brutal about it. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we talked about Quok's defense in that zone. I think when you know that Gravity are looking for those small passes and you know roughly where the next player is, putting your hands up is just the logical thing to do. Gravity going to have to be maybe just a little bit less predictable in how they're trying to move through that zone if they want to make sure that they're not giving blocks away.
More scoobers. More scoobers.
Oh, don't say that to Gravity. You know they'll rise to that call. Alperin. Over the top. Edmondson not able to make a play. That one sails over her head. Gravity now with an opportunity to break in the first point of half. That one goes high and Hill cleans it up. I don't know if there's a slightly more gusty sense right now, but both sides put a few lofty ones up. That one came out lower, maybe an adjustment for the wind. Mara, a great adjustment to get in front and secure that, but a little bit of contact means that despite not holding onto it, it will stay with LMU. Alperin looking for Bevan. Finds Edmondson instead, and then into Bevan for the score. A break opportunity not taken by Gravity. Had the promise there that maybe that was going to be the adjustment they needed coming out of half, but LMU able to recover and hold that downwind, taking us to 9-4.
Yeah, again, just really good from LMU. They might have a dirty hold, but that is important to winning games. If you can get the disc back after giving it to your opponents, you're going to win a lot of games.
Yeah, sometimes it's just about getting the job done. It might not look the way you had intended. It might not go to plan, but you've got to have that grit and determination to be able to adapt. Mara not forcing it into Bevan. There's that kind of maturity and awareness of a player who's been in these situations time and time again. Mara Alperin has been a GB representative, has played across the divisions. Really phenomenal. Not going to be hurried. Not going to make a decision she doesn't want to make. Finds Edmondson, who then works it in to Bevan.
I'd like to say that this is the second LMU game that I've commentated on the last couple years, and I feel like grit is exactly how I would describe what I see from LMU. I saw them beat Iceni last year here at London Invite, and yeah, it was lots of grit in that game.
Yeah, LMU, of course, a women's club team from here in the UK, Masters club team, one of the only, if not the only, women's Masters exclusive team. Oh, great work. Ford coming through, knocks that one away. LMU still just seeming like they're really creating confusion on defense. Burbage now, big fakes, finds trouble. A lovely down the line pass, gaining yards. Ford back to treble. Reset Thompson. That one's high. Can it sit out? Just enough time to be batted away. Helen Barron picks up after securing the D.
I think you're right. It is getting gustier down on the field.
Preslavets goes down that far sideline. A lofty one into the end zone. Galaney happy to tidy that one up. Beautiful pass. We talked about it maybe getting gustier, but that far sideline pass really well weighted, well timed onto a clean cut from Galaney, received with not too much pressure.
Yeah, usually the other way around with Galaney throwing some saucy throws. But this is a really nice touch throw. Notice again the high release. We talked about that earlier. With you playing downwind ultimate, I prefer to throw upwind versus downwind. And for that reason, I am not a touchy thrower. And that is a tough throw to do sometimes, especially in the downwind situation. But really, really nice high release throw over the defender. Galaney with the easy two-handed catch to go within 4. Still down a few breaks, though, so they're going to need to start their break train here.
Yeah, we mentioned Gravity needing to do something, disrupt, be a bit unexpected. And I think, not sure that we've seen something significant from them yet, but I will say Galaney making that cut, beautiful sort of stutter step to try and lose Burbage on the mark. And it's just enough to confuse because you are expecting Galaney to be going back and receiving it as a dump in the handler space. So maybe some small disruptions will also be effective. LMU now playing against this zone. Edmondson finds Bevan. Happy to pop it with the space. Will take what they're given. Weddle. Oh, slices through to Alperin. Brutal fake. Some hands raised in response, but doesn't go. Gainey to Bevan. LMU not rushing it. Putting in big fakes, moving everyone around. Whoa. Edmondson to Weddle. Happy to move in the small spaces. I was sort of expecting, it looked like Gravity had melted to person. I was expecting maybe for that to come for a swing and for them to attack the other side, but they'll just eke it through with sort of meter-long passes.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, sometimes it's when you see a zone like that, you got to just take your time, be patient, make sure that you're not throwing into a poach. I really, really like it when handlers throw pump fakes in zones and they actually move defenders. And LMU does this a bunch of times. Upper in there, not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 pump fakes to the push pass.
Yeah, I love when the camera goes, you know it's been a good fake. We've got a good perspective over here, but when the camera's trying to follow the action and you put a fake in good enough, you're rewarded with the camera even biting on it. Mara Alperin definitely threatening those looks, but just moving people around until a space is created. LMU have broken through that zone in the same way, point after point now. I think Gravity need to make that adjustment. Either that zone needs to have someone crashing in to try and disrupt these little passes that are coming through, or they need to just come to a different look, because what we're seeing is LMU undisrupted, happy to move it through, happy to play small ball, and are finding the space to do it.
Yeah, I'd like to see more communication from the zone here. It's windy, so can't really hear what's going on the field, but it is not the loudest game. I can hear other fields a little bit better than I can hear what's happening on this field. In fact, the LMU sideline is very, very loud when they're on defense, so look for them to shout out around here as Gravity receive the disc here.
LMU in a zone again. We've got a force and a slightly more poachy wall. Gravity moving the disc quickly. Galaney finds Barron on the far sideline. Flynn, Galaney, and Barron happy to move it between them. We've seen that time and time again so far. Oh, and just a bobble out of Galaney's fingers. Maybe thinking about that next pass. Andreas to pick up. Nichols.
It's good downfield defense here from Gravity. That's 2 stall counts that have gotten really high as Kwok's unable to hold on to that. But that defense is caused by the downfield pressure from Gravity.
Yeah, and now Barron into the end zone. Oh, a little bit of a wobble. Hope ankles are okay. But I think that's Sonia Pereslavets with the score.
Yeah, getting up a little gingerly. Hopefully she's okay. She is walking off, which is good. Hate to see any sort of injuries here, but really, really good from Gravity to punch that one in.
Yeah, and as you said, very effective switch onto defense from Gravity. You could see Nichols with the disc really not finding any downfield option. There seems to be quite a big space between the handlers and the cutters. Gravity kind of forcing that distance. Managed to get the swing out to Fisk, but then a slight overthrow on the pass to Kwok meant that was going to be a turnover, and then Gravity very quick to get it moving and exploit that. And again, you know, moving before the defense manages to get set. We've seen that from LMU earlier in this game. Gravity bringing that same energy and kind of slicing up the yards before anyone can really figure out what's going on. Still a big hill to climb, but I think we're just seeing a little bit more from Gravity, a little bit more of that adaptation that we were looking for in the first half. LMU still looking smooth though. Going to be interesting to see if Gravity can keep up that defensive pressure and if LMU are going to be able to maintain their heads against it.
Yeah, it's always tough being down 5, especially in the second half. It's, again, not impossible, but they are going to have to be able to get turns and then generate upwind opportunities, which has not been a strength for Gravity in this game thus far. So let's see if they can go ahead and try it here.
Gravity coming out in person, slightly poachy look in the handler space. Managing to find Edmondson. Oh, and that's a wayward throw straight to March. LMU having to switch their heads on now. Sort of unexpected transition to zone. Sutherland resets. O'Neill had some big throws on this field yesterday. Wind's picking up a little bit. Back to March. Is this the opportunity for the upwind break that Gravity have been looking for?
Oh,
it's high, it's lofty,
shot.
but there's a lot of space. Sutherland to run onto that, but a pick is called.
Interested to see if this one comes back, because Sutherland didn't look like there was a defender around her. So that's why I'm kind of confused as where the pick was.
Yeah, unclear. There are hands in the background there demonstrating a pick before the throw was released. Unclear what movement it was that caused the pick. I think that was outside of our camera angle. Yeah, and I think LMU agreeing to stay where it is, but for everyone else to be able to catch up.
Okay.
Defense looking a bit confused from LMU there. The pick didn't seem to affect the fact that, you know, we have a player free and clear.
Sutherland with nobody in the next postcode close to her, but we will see Gravity about 5 meters outside the end zone here, so this would be a really interesting time to get their first break of the game.
Oh, unsure if, I think Evanson maybe didn't know that disc was in.
And that is a break. They are going to give it to Gravity. Sutherland with the assist to number 71.
Hannah Linney.
Yeah, Hannah Linney on the goal there. And that's big for Gravity because now this game doesn't become quite out of hand.
Yeah, a 4-point difference feels miles different from a 5-point difference sometimes. And I think, you know, we talked about mentality at halftime. Mentality is so important. You know, like obviously you've all learned the basics. You've learned to throw, you've learned to catch, you've learned to play with your team. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. But the thing that can impact that, you know, as much as the wind, as much as the rain, as much as anything else, is how your team can kind of rise to the challenge. And we've seen it time and time again where a team's their chins drop, you know, they go down a few points and you feel that weight on them. You can see it on their shoulders. I think Gravity doing a great job of not, you know, we're not seeing that from them, but they are going to need to dial it up a gear or two to claw back.
Yeah, and on the contrary, with LMU, you gotta be like, okay, well sometimes breaks happen. Let's just go out and make sure we don't give up more breaks.
Yeah.
Let's continue to do what we need to do. We've been working all game. An unfortunate, you know, turn. Edmondson just throwing straight to the Gravity player. That's not a system error. That's an execution error. And it's important to say, okay, we just need to stick to the system. The system will work itself out.
Weddle finds Thompson in the middle. Alperin. Some sort of call, pick on the field. Enjoy the way Alperin, a call was made and she just tucked the disc behind her back so there could be no confusion. Finds Hill. To Gainey in the middle. Gainey puts a sweeping pass up to the streaking form of Sophie Bevan. Beautiful play. You can see that's happened time and time again. Gainey and Bevan played together season after season on LMU. We're also both on the GB Masters women's side through the last cycle and have played a number of GB cycles together, as have many of the people on this team. And you can really see the kind of smoothness of those connections and a beautiful sweeping backhand that just sat lovely on the wind out in front.
Yeah, that's an unguardable throw for a defender. It's a break side throw, so it's not really their ability to go and make a play on that. You're taking away the force side, and then as a defender, there's really nothing more horrible than seeing a break side huck go up and knowing that you're never going to get there.
Yeah, you know, you can do your job, but sometimes if there's even just a momentary break somewhere else in the field, it's blown. And if you're going to be exploited like that with such a beautiful kind of that wide step around and then really still managing to get all the shape and touch on the disc, despite it being sort of into the upwind corner, yeah, that's pretty undefendable.
Yeah, LMU taking advantage of the less gusty wind point there, as the wind has seemed to perhaps died down a second. The flags aren't moving in the bottom of the end zone down there, as Gravity look to move it, quote, upfield.
Sutherland faking a big one, cuts either very close or very deep, needs a reset, being really hurried by the LMU defense. That one goes high, forward putting it under pressure, but balance brings that down comfortably. Resets Flynn. Oh, and a really great read from Ford. Once again, understanding what they were looking for. Big throw from Burbage. Oh, in Ford's hands, but just looked slightly like it was kind of palm to palm rather than with a good kind of full hand connection. And just as she tried to adjust, that one slips away, giving it back to Gravity, but now with the full field to cover, Galaney finds Baron. Oh, Polycat trying to get that run through bid, but well received by Sutherland. Flynn under a tight mark from Burbage. That one's high. Hamer not able to get under it. Galaney, lovely high pass into the middle, making moves, tearing up the field, and a big huck goes deep. Keenan comes away with that one. That felt very much like Gravity were in the driving seat there. Even when LMU pressure was coming on, even when they were putting a lot of disruption into the downfield space, really tight marks on the hand. As you said that you want to see a bit more of that person-to-person, tight handler marking, and I think LMU were really delivering it there. But Gravity, you see here that lovely backhand from Galaney, and then taking off to receive it back. Looks for the big one, as we know she's always doing.
That's just a good throw.
Great
and again,
throw,
it's a break side huck, right? They're forcing backhand. You're on the backhand side. And of course, it's a flick side throw that gets off. It's unfortunate. LMU have an opportunity to go up further with another break opportunity. Just an unfortunate drop there.
Yeah, I mean, you did mention earlier on, we talked about the sort of upwind, downwind points. Wind had dropped for most of that point, to be honest. It was a lovely throw. It feels like it's getting a bit gustier again now, but conversely, sometimes throwing up into the wind is actually the preferred way of going. The downwind throws can really sail. Interesting to see now.
Yeah, it looks like it just chest in the grass here. It does seem like the wind is changing a little bit. It was going towards the bottom left, the bottom right of your screen. It has shifted. It's almost a little bit more crosswind now, so perhaps we might see a little bit different approaches from the throwers as Gainey and Bevan move it up the field. Really good adjustment from Edmondson there.
Finds Hill. LMU moving decisively. Mayetta, Bevan's open in the end zone. Oh, lots of pressure. Daphne Tand coming in hot, but Bevan read it well. Timing was perfect. A moment later, and that was going to be under some hot pressure from the defense. But yeah, I think a like for like, LMU just very comfortable jumping back into that driving seat.
Yeah, really good point there from LMU. Able just to move it up side to side. We've talked about that going downwind, and now, of course, going back the other way. Just, it's so hard to play ultimate on both sides of the field. If you can force them to get to one side and keep them there, it's a lot easier to play defense. But LMU refusing to stay on one side of the pitch, using the whole field, and just really good throws. Yeah,
we were chatting about the wind, but I think LMU maybe haven't noticed it's windy or don't care, you know, whatever the case may be, really just playing as if it were a still day. And what I really enjoyed about that point from the LMU offense is it just felt like someone was always free on the field, and they had that kind of calmness around just finding the right option. It felt like the downfield were really aware of where the other cutters were moving, creating space for each other. We even see on that last cut, Weddle looks to take a step into that space, but sees that Bevan is already there and making a really great cut, and just holds back, keeps her defender out of it. It's really great kind of whole team offense that means that they're able to create success for one another.
Absolutely. Cutting for each other is often the best sign of a good offense. Talk about my teammates on Smash D and telling them that sometimes when you cut, you're not actually cutting to get the disc, you're cutting to create space for your other teammates. I really think that LMU does a good job of doing that for their teammates.
Well, big pressure. Baron, high stall count, but gets the reset to Galaney. Baron and Galaney just having to move it at the back. Really lots of pressure downfield, but a little gap in the middle. That one will go through to Sutherland. Oh, a little bit of contact.
Always think it's interesting whenever you're on the thrower, or you're the thrower and somebody contacts you. I don't like seeing stoppages. I like just calling contact and just moving on. I think that unless they're calling travel, maybe? I'm not sure.
I think this is a foul call. I think Galani took a big pivot into Nevitt. Nevitt, of course, does have to kind of keep that disc space. But, you know, if someone's going to pivot directly into you, that's really challenging. So one of those calls that can be a little bit tricky, but thankfully resolved without too much discussion.
Ooh, really good catch under pressure there as they break through the LMU zone.
Gravity off to the races, calming it down a bit as they come up to their end zone, in that red zone, needing to keep their heads. Galani slices through the middle to number 10, who's been putting in some great moves, but I'm afraid is not on the team list. So we can't give the shout out and the kudos to number 10, but has
perhaps maybe number 100? I'm not sure, unless that's the coach.
I think that's the coach.
Okay, that's the coach then. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
no,
unsure, but
number 10, you slay.
Has had beautiful pass down the sideline a few points ago, and now a score to their mysterious unknown name.
Unknown number 10 Gravity player. Great job. You're doing fantastic out there. So the score that was 5 points at one point is now 3. It is 12-9 in favor of LMU. Gravity having a much better second half than their first half, which is, you know, sometimes that's how it goes. You have the tale of two halves. Sometimes it takes you a little bit longer to get started. I've also been on the receiving end of having a great first half and then forgetting how to play Ultimate in the second half.
Yeah, for a long time I think with LMU we were sort of known as a second half team. Might be caught sleeping a little bit, and then in the second half we'll come back with gusto. They've done really well to come out firing today. But the question now is, are they able to hold off Gravity as Gravity kind of figure some things out?
Yeah, again, I don't think Gravity have taken the disc away from LMU enough. I think the one break we saw was an LMU execution error. I'd be interested to see if Gravity can go ahead and take the disc away. You really content with gaining inches up the field. I know inches are not a real measurement in this country, but we're going to use it anyways. Centimeters just doesn't feel right. You don't really gain, you know, they're not really gaining a centimeter. That's a lot of centimeters right there.
Absolute slicing throw from Edmondson. First season back after a long hiatus. I think she thought she'd retired, but that wasn't to be. Coming back to play with this LMU side, her first competitive season in a good number of years, and my goodness, really showing that sometimes your form just stays with you. Directing traffic, and a lovely pass, open side. Gainey just sneaking away. Lots of traffic on that far sideline, and Gainey just uses the opportunity to take a few steps. Emerson going just about every other in the latter half of that point, and really driving the offense.
Well, they say form is temporary, but class is permanent. And right there is an example of that. Going through, like you said, nearly every other, slicing and dicing through the Gravity defense. Really, really solid work. Again, we've talked about this. It's not really so much Gravity taking the disc away from LMU on their offensive line. It's just LMU being able to move the disc with success. This whole game, their offensive looked really, really good. Very, very strong.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I wonder what adjustments Gravity need to make. It did feel like Emerson, for that last pass, there were sort of two people in her vicinity, but neither were really putting on a proper force. So although that seemed like it was a break throw, you know, if you don't have a force on, then it might be a break side throw, but it's you've sort of given that one away. And Gainey able to get away on that side of the end zone under no pressure from any defensive effort. So
and in case you just heard over the stand, the time is up here. We started a little bit late because of the open semi-final on the pitch between Chevy and Clapham. So after this point, we will be +1 to the score, unless I think Gravity, unless the Gravity, are they still doing the +3 rule?
I think you're only, oh, well, seen away by Hamer. Great defense reading that play and making sure that that's not a second effort available to Gravity. I believe the same format is in play today, which is that at the 70-minute mark, time is over now, they finish this point, and they would only put on a cap if they were within 1. So I think now, even if Gravity managed to put this one in, that should still be game. I'm sure that's they'll want to finish on a high, but oh, great effort from Polycam, but slightly better read from Sutherland, just managing to get that inside line.
And really theatrical D, and also manages to avoid landing on her defender.
Yeah, Galaney rips it. It's, oh, it was just a little bit rushed, I think, and that a very difficult throw when your cutter is running away from you in the same lane. Hamer in hot pursuit.
Yeah, it's interesting. Hamer again in the defensive space, making that throw from Galaney. Gonna have to try to force it to throw over, but honestly, I don't know if you saw it, but Galaney picked up some grass just after she threw it, just to see what was the wind doing there. Yeah. It is changing a little bit. Didn't have to throw it as hard as I think it came out. LMU have to go the full 70 here to try to see off this game with yet another break as Hamer takes the deep shot.
Oh, that was such a shame. Polycam going to ground to try and secure that. 1, 2, 3 of LMU players looking like they might be making a play on that long shot from Hamer. Van Krieken, I think, was the one who came down with it in the end, but a slightly overthrown pass into the end zone. So easy to do that. The energy of catching that long disc and seeing one of your teammates in opportune position, but just not nailing the execution. Gravity now back with the chance to close this game out on a positive balance. Looking for a reset. Galaney gives an option in the backfield, loses a couple yards. Oh, an amazing grab. Michelle Balance keeping that one in play, trailing edge. Great effort. Number 10 pops it back to Galaney. Trying to create options. Big separation from the downfield cutters. Oh, and a fumble, but a recovery. Galaney receives that with that momentum, but that momentum carries the disc through. That sort of looked like a trick shot rolling off of number 10's hands across her body. Unable to recover it. Thompson picking up. Polycam finds Hamer.
Hamer's going to rip it again.
It's a big sweeping throw. Can Van Krieken read it? Can she keep it in? Much more shape on that than was intended, I think.
Yeah, I don't think that. I think if Hamer got a chance to bring that one back, I don't think she'd throw it with so much edge. I think a little flatter, let Van Krieken go out and make a play on it. Still almost did make a play on it. That was an incredible read.
Van Krieken is a phenomenal athlete. Oh, and a really quick pick up from Burbage. Missed opportunity on the dump pass. Burbage picks it up and pops it into Thompson. LMU decisively sealing out the game. I think there's a little bit of Chatfield just confirming. We can see Gravity going to the line.
Yeah, time was called.
Time was called, and I think within the 4, although there are some staggered fields in terms of timing. So I do think that was time for us, but I think our clock is maybe a little bit behind given that we missed.
So they are telling us that it is going to be +1. So
right then.
guess game to 15, which is fine.
Yeah, I think the format yesterday maybe was a little bit tighter with all the different time slots. Today, seems like they're opening up and the games
Little
are
more
still
loose.
+1. But, you know, the points cap is 15 anyway, so it is still game to 15. LMU very happy to have that one on the board and just keep that comfortable lead. We've seen comebacks. We've seen it happen before. We've seen
this would be one for the ages. They would talk about this in London Invite lore for years to come. Where were you when Gravity mounted that 6-point comeback?
If you want to stress out the
minutes.
TD, that's the way to do it.
Connor McHale and Ross Nugent would go absolutely wild. Especially with Team USA about to take the field for their semifinal.
Gravity moving well against the zone. Find a gap on that far sideline. Linny. March. Fakes the high release. Looking for help. Big pressure from the force. Nevitt really not giving anything, but they're finding those pops inside. Oh, great, having to go backwards for that. Hurley keeps it moving. Fire is called from the sideline. LMU switching into person defense. And that one just comfortably put out into space. There's that offensive flow that we know Gravity have been looking for. Keeping it moving around the back, finding those opportunities to slice through and gain some yards. And then as the kind of call to go to person happens, the cuts are already coming and they're able to exploit any of those gaps.
Yeah, it's really positive from Gravity right there, being able to move the disc as well as they did. Getting the score within 4, it's 14-10, which, you know, I think after the first half that they had there, they've outscored themselves by 2 in this half, which is really good. It's very positive, including 1 break. So lots of positives to take away from this second half for Gravity. Some positive momentum going into their final game of the day later today.
Yeah, these teams competing in the 5 to 8 bracket here. LMU coming into this game with 1 win yesterday against the under-24 Australia team, Stingrays, and then 2 losses, but I think quite good competitive games against Iceni and Spice. Gravity not managing to secure a win yesterday. Lots, I think, to learn from this weekend. Some moments of really lovely play. And with all these different streams that they can go back and watch, I'm sure there'll be lots of post-game and post-tournament analysis. LMU now looking to close this game out, release the field for that mixed semi-final. Alperin finds Gainey on the far side. Oh, huge layout. Edmondson determined.
Loses the hat, but not the disc. What a grab from Edmondson right there.
Bevan finds Hill. Hill fires that one into Mayetta.
There's that inside flick I talked about.
That will do the job nicely. Sophie Edmondson with the play of that point for sure. Happy the number 88 Douglas kit's finally seeing some action. Great to see. Really solid final point from LMU. Closing out the game, I think, in form of how they've played throughout. We see those fakes moving people around, and then Hill just rifling that in. Mayetta making sure she's got some room to work. Really lovely play from LMU, and I think a great effort from Gravity. Definitely looked like they were more on form in the second half, starting to be a bit more disruptive with their defense and finding those offensive connections. We'll now be looking at our Kennington Doghouse play of the game.
And this is when Weddle gets the D after committing the own foul right there, right in the lane, stopping the huck. Incredible wherewithal to, after just, you know, unfortunately getting the D, not putting her head down, literally not putting her head down, staying in it as Galaney tries to rip the huck and just being in the right space at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. Keeping her head up, keeping aware, getting straight on defense, getting it right back. That's what we want to see across the team. So that's the women's division game here at London Invite.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, Ultimate.
ULTI.TV.